Hello and welcome to another episode of LowEndBox TV. In this video we're going to show you how to find files that you've lost on Linux. I don't know about you, but I certainly had the experience of editing a file in some directory and then moving to a different directory or coming back to the project days later and not remembering where that file was. And there's a couple techniques you can use. Now on Windows or Mac OS, in the GUI they have some location tools, usually in Finder or Windows Explorer. You can search through the whole system if you want to find where something is. There is a similar thing you can do on the file system, or at the command level, command prompt I should say, in Linux, and we'll show you a couple different ways to do that. I've got a Debian 10 box here, and I've created a couple users. I put some files there, and we're going to show you how to locate stuff. So let's get started here with the locate package. To install it, I'm just doing apt-get install locate, and this package actually goes way back in Unix history. It goes back to 1982. Stands for mlocate stands for merging locate. And the fact that it's been around for, almost 40 years at this point, and that, let's see, Unix started really about 1970, 71, it gives you an idea how long people have been losing files and trying to find them. Before we continue, I'd like to highlight one of our community advertisers. Hostsaler is a Dubai-based hosting provider that offers shared hosting, reseller hosting, VPS, and dedicated servers at aggressive prices. They offer a diversity of services in all of these market segments in an attempt to match the right product with the customer's needs, and everything they do is backed by an ironclad service-level agreement. You can deploy their services in either the Netherlands or Romania. They accept many forms of payment, including bitcoins and other forms of cryptocurrency. With VMs priced as low as $2 per month on an annual contract, it's worth your time to check out Hostsaler's offers on LowEndTalk or LowEndBox, or visit their site at hostsaler.com. Once I've got locate set up, I can enter a query. So let's do this. I know there's a etc host file. So what happens if I just say locate hosts? I'm going to get an error. It's going to say I can't stat, or I can't find my database file. And that's because we haven't updated it yet. And there is a command called updatedb, which once we run that will actually populate the locate database. So we'll run that. You saw how fast that run. Let's see here. On less than was that 1/10 of a second. This is on enterprise grade storage, on a fast Xeon processor. On my home file server, which is running a very old i3 at this point, it's got some spinning disk that is much less than enterprise grade storage. Running, it's got about 6 terabytes of storage. Running updatedb takes quite a bit longer, a few minutes or something. However, normally it runs every night, so you don't necessarily need to keep this up to date manually. On Debian systems, there is a etc cron daily, and in there you will see this mlocate. Yep, there it is. That job will run every night, overnight, and so once a day your database will be up to date. Now, if let's say you got up in the morning, you did a bunch of work, and then later in the afternoon you can't find something, maybe then you'd want to run the updatedb command to freshen the database if you're trying to locate something. But now that I've got my database up to date, let's type locate hosts, and boom, there is the list of all of everything that matches the word hosts. So not only etc hosts, but hosts allow, host deny. Of course, if I was to say locate hosts deny, it would find, there it finds both the etc host deny as well as the man page for it. Now, there are a number of other options you can use with the locate command. One that I frequently use is locate-i, which means do it case insensitive, so it would match both, hosts and hosts and hosts like this. You can man the locate man page and scroll down here and you'll see all these options. Locate-B is a useful one. That means it's going to find, it's going to search only against the base name, not all the directories in the path. You can, there's that -I I said for the ignore case. You can also, another useful one is -R. If you're familiar with regular expressions, you can use a full regular expression syntax. That lets you do very sophisticated queries. And there's -W, which is, well, I guess that one is by default. That's the opposite of the base name. So there's a number of things you can do here, so play around with those if you want to, but that's the essence of using the locate command. Now I want to show you one kind of interesting thing about locate. I created a couple users here. Let's go to the home directory. There's a user Frank and a user Mary. Now if I look in Frank's directory, let's go to Frank. I've got a couple files here. They're called Plan 1 and Plan 2. Plan 1 is his plan for taking over the world, and Plan 2 is his other plan for taking over the world. Now both of those files, you can see the permissions are set that only Frank can read them. And if I go to Mary's home directory, I see this directory here called Diary. If I go to Diary, I've got 3 entries there. This is my secret, all of her secret thoughts here in Mary's diary. Now, as root, if I say locate diary, yep, I can see everything. But if I am Frank and I say locate diary, I don't see anything, because as you see, Mary's her diary directory is set to mode 700, or in other words, only she can read it. She has read, write, and execute permissions, but others and the world do not. So locate actually takes permissions into account. Again, if you're root, you can see everything. But if you are a user, you can only see files that you have have permissions to see. And of course, if I was Mary and I looked for Plan 1, I would not find it, right? But if I was Frank and I did a locate on Plan 1, there it is. So that's kind of a cool tweak for a cool feature of locate. By the way, you could also type locate-s, which gives you some interesting statistics there. You know, in this this is a fairly unmodified template. I mean, I installed the template Debian 10, and I created the Frank and Mary in those files, but that's really about it. And yet I've already got 34,625 files, right? That's all OS files, configuration, man pages, documentation, etc., as well as 3,279 directories. So it's not hard to lose information. Okay, so that is using locate. Again, it's not real time. So it's typically updated once a night. So if you are working along during the day and you lose track of something, you'll want to run update DB to update the database, and then you can run your query. And if you look at the cron daily here, oops, I might go here, CD. This cron job has some nice things turned on, such as, well, it checks if you're on AC power, won't matter on the server, but it uses the IO nice and such, so that it tries to run it in a as server friendly a way as it can. So instead of running update DB, you could also just run this mlocate command, and that will update your stuff as well. All right, so that's how to do locate, and that's probably the most user-friendly way. However, there is another way to get real-time information, and that's using the find command. Now, this is a very old Linux command. This one goes back even before locate. This goes back to Unix version 5, which is 1978, and it does a real-time walk of the file systems, and you can search with a lot of different criteria. Typically, when you do a find command, you say something like find and then the path. So let's say Etsy. And then what are you looking for? Do you want to match by name? Do you want to match by size? Let's search for the name, password, and then what do you want to do with it? I want to print it out. So I found 3 files there. There's Etsy password, Etsy PAMD password, and Etsy cron daily password. And that, like I say, that is real time. So that is not something we have to wait for some database to update, etc. And actually, you can even leave that print off because that's the default. It'll just print them out. Now, you may not know, if someone said to you, hey, I need the password file, you didn't know what directory it is in, you could just run it against the root. Find root, name, password, print. And there it is. Now we're seeing other stuff that's in user share or the password command itself in user bin, etc. That is really kind of the basics of find. Now, find is kind of notorious for having this weird syntax because it's a very old command. But essentially, it's find, path, and then what's called the they call it the predicate or the expression. Sorry, and then the action. So find, path, expression, action. In other words, find where do you want to find it? Find in Etsy here. What are you going to look for? I want to look for a name, password, and then I want to print. Let me give you another example. Might make this a little clearer. Let's create a big file here. I'm going to create, I'm going to use the dd command. Input file, we're going to read from the kind of the pretend pseudo file called dev0, and we're going to write to a file called root big file. Block size of 1 megabyte. Sorry, 1048576, that's right. And count equals 512. So we're going to create a 512 meg file. Ooh, that was fast. 855 megabytes a second. When you're just writing zeros, you can write pretty quick. So if I look now in root under big file, there it is. Or, kind of cool trick here, I can use DUSH for human, and it'll say, yep, it's 512 megs. Now, I want to find somewhere on the file system, anywhere, so I'm going to use slash, files that have a size greater than 100 megs. Let's print those. All right, so it's found 2 files. Now, it's let's talk about these here in a second, but it says proc kcore. How big is proc kcore? DUSH proc kcore. Let's see here. Oh, proc kcore. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. The DUSH is because this is not a real file. This is it's a kernel component. I won't go into it, but essentially, as you can see there, it is a very large file. Don't delete that. It's not a real file. Stuff in proc is just kind of a file system map into various kernel memory structures. But it did find root big file here. Now, it found these things, but as it was running, those files deleted because they're proc. Proc, for every process you create, there's a file created in the /proc pseudo file system. So not surprising, we found a couple of those in there. But nonetheless, here's the point. I ran against find against the root, and my criteria here was size of 100 megs or bigger. So let's say we find root size plus 100 megs, print the root directory. There it is. What if I go to root and copy big file to another file? That'll take a moment. And now if I do find root size plus 100M name big file, print, it just finds big file. So I can kind of string these along, right? I can have multiple arguments here. So again, it's always find the command where. That's the first argument, is always where do you want me to start my search, and then whatever arguments you want to give. And then once you've given all your arguments, what do you want to do with it? Let's create another one here. Let's go make dir, we'll call this backup, and we will create a really old file here. Touch 2010, let's say 0820 backup, some old backup. .tar.gz, and then we'll touch one called backup current backup.tar.gz. So now if I go look there in /backup, I've got a file there from August 20th, 2010, and I've got a file from April 10, which is today. So I can now say something like this: find backup time, modification time, older than 30 days, print. Right? And there it finds the old backup. This is a great way to do things in scripting, which we won't go into at this point, but if you want to script things, you can say, hey, for file in find backup, blah, 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 do this. Or if you want to find, or if you're looking for just old stuff on your system to clean up, you might want to say something like, if I were to do this touch T, let's just copy that. Root big file. If I wanted to say find root size greater than 250 megs, M time greater than 365, print, it's going to search through and it finds root big file. So in other words, I was going to say, if I had some kind of file system where I kept a lot of archives and I said, hey, let's get rid of the oldest stuff or stuff older than 1 year, this is how I could do this. Now, there's all kinds of things you can do with find. If we just take a look at the find man page, it's almost mind-boggling how many different find options there are. Here are the expressions. Let's go down here. Oh, we're still in the options here. Yeah, so greater than, oh geez, these are still some of the options. But here's some things we can do, like, matching names, matching groups names or group IDs, user names. Oh my goodness, there's just so many things. Newer than, the path, whatever permissions, is the file readable, is the size, and of course we can say size in megabytes, gigabytes, whatever we want. What type of file is it? Is it a regular file? Is it a directory? We can say, is it owned by this user, or that user ID? Is it writable? There's all kinds of things we can do. For delete is a popular command, obviously, or exec, that is to say exec this command against all those files. There's all kinds of other stuff, ls, etc. So if, for example, let's do that. Let's find in the root directory size greater than 256, blah, 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 and we will delete. Now if I go look in root, my big file is gone, because that was the only one that met that criteria. Let's go back to root and say copy, or actually, let me grab my touch command here, touch that, so I don't have to remember and type all that again, another file. And now I'm going to say, let me sneak in a print command before we do the delete. Okay, so now it has printed it and then it has also deleted it. So if you were saying, hey, I want to get all the files in this directory that are over 250 megs, older than 365 days, give me a list of them and delete them as you go. That's how you would do that with that command. Like I say, many options for find. It really is a very helpful tool. So that's what I've got for you as far as how to find stuff on Linux. You can use locate, which is the quick and dirty way just to say, where is it? Locate name of the file or part of the name of the file. And then if you need to get in there and get more detailed, I only want to look in this particular area, or I want to have some more advanced criteria like how old is it, who owns it, how big is it, all that kind of stuff, you can use the find command. Now, if you found this tutorial helpful today, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And I'd like to invite you to stop by either LowEndBox or LowEndTalk or both, where you'll find fantastic deals on hosting. You'll find technical content, some thoughts and opinions from industry leaders, as well as very spirited discussion. Till next time, happy hosting.